without you. The tension's overbearing. Wondering, are you coming back home again? To inspire fondness with love. Where did our love go wrong? My sugar. Why did I make you cry? Whispers flow through my mind when I think about you. That warm feeling in me. My heart sings a sad song and just melts away. Please look into my eyes, my sugar. This life is not fair. Until the sun doesn't shine anymore, I'll be there. When time is a memory, I'll know this love. You will always be the one, my sugar. The feeling is so strong. Waiting here on this cold, lonely night without you. Where did our love go wrong? My sugar.
Welcome back, and thanks so much for joining us tonight on We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. Tonight we are joined by the amazing and talented Mr. Steve Stockton. Oh my goodness, I can't believe all the stuff you're doing. You just blow my mind. I wish I could just be a fraction of what you're doing.
It is what it is. I mean, I enjoy what I do, and hopefully it shows. And it's not like work to me. I haven't worked a regular job in years, just thanks to the success of YouTube and my books. It's afforded me all kinds of free time to do whatever I want to do. So, I'm thankful.
Yeah, you need to learn me the ways. We were talking on the break about different ways to say things, like people that mess with us to make us say certain things that don't quite make sense to the people we're saying them to. So people talk about the gift of tongues. In these certain circumstances, we don't have that discrepancy. Oh my goodness. Never order a dirty Sanchez. It's not a tequila and Red Bull, okay? Just so you know.
I didn't tell her that, by the way.
No, that was my story. Yeah. There's a bar about 30 miles from here.
Saying that Steve Stockton told you to order a dirty Sanchez.
No, Steve would never tell me that. I don't think. Would you? Would you do that to me?
Not as far as you know.
No, not. Yeah, and I didn't know at that point either.
No, that's part of it, especially when you travel overseas and you're not very fluent in the language. The people get a kick out of putting you up to say funny things like that, which, I mean, it's funny to them, but I told you about some of the stuff I was put up to say in the Philippines that wasn't exactly what I was led to believe, but got it back on him. The friend that I was over there visiting, we'd went to college together, went to the University of Tennessee, so we were able to talk hillbilly. It
Oh
sound like
yeah.
a Jeff Foxworthy thing. You hungry? Yeah, I reckon.
Younger? Rick?
Let's go get something to eat. You want to? And they were
Yep.
like, it just blew their minds. Like, what is that you're speaking? That's not English. Like, yeah, it is. And so got it back on them. We could talk in our East Tennessee dialect and say whatever we wanted to say.
Yeah, a lot of people that don't understand it, if you've ever watched King of the Hill, just think of Boomhauer. Where you have
Yeah.
your own certain language. And when you guys are talking back and forth, talking to other people in your community, they understand, but otherwise it's just, gift of tongues or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like that in Appalachia. Sometimes just the next community over won't know what you're saying. They have their little, very regional dialects there that different words mean different things.
It is
Or the same word
interesting.
means different things, actually.
Yeah, and they say that a lot of Irishmen and Germans and other people would go to the mountains, the Smoky Mountains or the mountains of the Appalachians, and stakehold and have dispensaries or whatnot, like not weed dispensaries, but alcoholic dispensaries and other things like that going on, and their own certain
Moonshine.
dialects. Yeah, moonshine. Woo!
Yeah, yeah. Oh, no, they don't call it popsicle for nothing. I've had it
Uh-huh.
before, but no, it ain't for me. Um, yeah, the Irish and the Scottish in particular liked that part of Appalachia. It reminded them a lot of home. And it was back then it was free land. If you wanted to go live in the middle of nowhere, you could have several hundred acres, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what they did. They went back there. They kept to themselves. Um, they made moonshine. They did whatever they wanted to do. There were a lot of timber, logging, farming, livestock, and just in the middle of nowhere. That
Ginning.
sounds like a good deal to me now. That would appeal to me. I don't like people that much.
Yeah, me neither.
I've
They
been
scare me.
practicing for I've been practicing for this lockdown and stuff for all my life. I just didn't know it. I stay home. I like staying home. And now that discovered the joys of Instacart, I don't even have to get out to get groceries.
Right? I haven't done that yet. I go out like once every 2 weeks or whatever to get groceries, but I say the same thing. I've been social distancing before it was even cool. But
Yeah.
yeah, Instacart. You can do that anywhere?
Uh, Pretty much. I mean, there of course has to be delivery drivers in your area, but I'm out here. I'm about 25 miles northwest of Portland in a little town called St. Helens. If you've ever seen the Halloween Town movies from Disney, this is where that was filmed. And every October, the whole town turns into Halloween Town. The girl that plays Marnie in those movies comes in as the Grand Marshal of the Halloween parade. They go nuts for Halloween.
Okay, so I'm
But
gonna I'm
we
gonna
have
be
it
your
out
new roommate.
here.
I'm moving in, Steve. No, just kidding.
And if you're a Twilight fan, the house that they used for Bella's house, it's here in St. Helens too.
Yeah,
And
that's
then
right.
just about an hour away over on the coast, you got the Goonies house, and I remember what else is over there. They filmed Kindergarten Cop over there, and interesting area. But yeah, I like it here, and especially I didn't know it was Halloween Town when I moved here. I'd
You
initially
just
lived
got
in
lucky, huh? You
yeah.
lucky
I mean, I
bastard.
was born on Halloween, and of
What?
course that's always
I
been
was
my
born on
favorite holiday.
Thanksgiving. You're Halloween baby. I'm a Thanksgiving baby.
But
Oh
yeah,
my
it's great. Like I said,
goodness.
they do more for Halloween here than they do for Christmas or any other time. And it takes up the whole month. It was kind of subdued last year, with everything going on, but they have ghost walks and parade and just all kinds of stuff. If you look up Halloween Town St. Helens on Google, you can see what all they do and did.
And
And see,
you're
I'll get out and
lucky.
go to something like that, but I like to, just go and blend in with the crowd.
Yeah, and you can wear a mask and not even care. On Halloween, your birthday's always Halloween. For me, Thanksgiving is different days. It's not always the same date every year. So
Yeah.
I'm thankful it's not always on Thanksgiving because I remember as a kid I hated it, and this last year I hated it too because I was cooking all day and doing dishes, and then I think I got 2 hours off to watch TV and then doing more dishes, then I went to bed. It was the shittiest birthday I'd ever had, and it was a depressing beginning to my year. I wish I was
like
born on
having it.
Halloween.
That was a great day to have a birthday because, it's in the fall, of course. You're not too close to Christmas, so you can get stuff in the summertime and then get stuff for your birthday and then still get stuff for Christmas. I always felt sorry for people whose birthday was on Christmas or right around Christmas because you think, oh, you get twice the amount of gifts. Like they're like, hell
No, you
no, I've
don't.
got one thing.
Can't afford it.
Yeah, I always meant a party when I was a kid. I've liked that aspect of it, even though I never really got along with people, even when I was a kid. I didn't have anything in common with anybody my age, or
neither.
I was like a little old person. I was a late in life, unexpected
Right?
baby.
You were
And,
older in your years, right? That's how I was. That's why I never fit
Yeah.
in. I was too mature.
I had one brother who was 17 years older than I am. He passed away a few years ago. But yeah, my parents were old, and their friends were old. So when we go visit their friends, there wasn't anybody my age there unless they had grandkids or something. So I would sit and talk to the old people. And that's where I got the stories for my first book, mainly
I
Strange Things in
love
the
that.
Woods. I love to go visit old people. And I think, have you ever seen anything in the woods? What's the strangest thing you've ever seen? Any ghost stories? And a lot of them would be reticent to tell you because they thought you were going to make fun of them or something. But when they saw I had a
Because
genuine
they're
interest,
used to that.
yeah. And I've got stories that people, hadn't even told their kids or their spouse or anything about that stuff that happened. So that was, a lot of fun. But yeah, when I was a kid, the big social event was when somebody died. By the time I was 10 years old, I'd been to more funerals than I had been kids' birthday parties.
Oh, wow.
And that was where, I'd meet all my relatives and all the people that I'd heard stories and things about, and, minus one, whoever had just passed away. But funerals were a big deal, particularly on my mom's side of the family. It was a social event. Everybody went and to the funeral home and stayed for hours. And then the next day, before and after the funeral, you'd all go meet at somebody's house, usually my grandmother's house, and
Eat a bunch of good food.
put on a big feast. Yeah, and then my grandmother on my mom's side, she had 10 kids, had my mom and 9 boys. So you talk about having it rough. I couldn't pull anything on my mom. Having 9 brothers, she knew every trick. And they had the dairy farm and everything, and she cooked for all those people too. So when she cooked for literally 20 or 30 people anyway. So it was great to go to Granny's for something like that.
I love going to Granny's. Even on Christmas. Okay, she had so many grandkids because she had a lot of kids too, like your family. I always said she had 13, but I think she had 12 or 11. I'd have to go back and check again. Mostly boys, I think 3 or 4 girls, but at least 10 or 11 kids because, they didn't really have a lot of things to do back in the day besides farming and getting busy. You know what I mean?
And having a lot of kids, that was cheap farm hands. That
Yeah.
was exactly why we had so many kids, because they wanted to farm.
Oh,
But,
really? I thought it was just shits and giggles and,
Something
good to go.
to do.
We
And
used to
they married
get
quite
socks
young
and
then,
cherry
too.
chocolates for Christmas as kids. That was our Christmas present for Grandma and Grandpa.
Yeah.
Was a pair of socks
grandma-
and some cherry chocolates.
Give you a $1 bill. That was big deal. Crisp new $1 bill. Sometimes I'd get 2 though, because I was their
Oh,
favorite.
$2 bill. That was the coolest too. I love that, and I saved
Yeah.
it forever till I was too broke and I spent it.
But,
I wish I
I've
wouldn't
got
have.
so many cousins and things, because of those 9 brothers and my mom's, I know several of them had been married several times and had kids with each
Yeah.
wife. So there was so many I couldn't keep up with. I've got cousins today that I wouldn't know them if I passed them on the street. And that was the thing. As much as I enjoyed going there, I didn't have anything in common with any of those people. They all liked hunting and fishing and sports, and football and golf. And I never cared for anything like that. I like intellectual pursuits. I like to read, or if I did do some outdoor activity, it was skateboarding or biking or something, hiking, rock climbing, something that wasn't competitive or wasn't a team sport. I was my own team,
Team me.
But
Heck
now
yeah.
that grandmother, she was the one that was a self-proclaimed gypsy witch. These days, she'd be a kitchen witch or something
So
like
what
that. But
is
she
your
liked to
lineage? Like, if she's a gypsy witch, what is your lineage? Like, what would her... is she Italian, or what is that? What is
they came to Cades Cove from England, but
Oh,
then
wow.
there is some Italian farther back,
Okay.
and it was passed along like of those 9 brothers, 7 of them were restaurateurs. It's like if you take the Waltons and the Sopranos and put them together, that was what that side of the family was like.
Barafuco.
Yeah, but she called herself a gypsy witch, and she told fortunes in the community. She read tea leaves and coffee grounds, animal entrails. She practiced phrenology. She could tell by the bumps on your head different things about you. And she used to scare the shit out of me when I was a kid because she looked like a witch. She was this little old,
Yeah.
withered up looking thing, about 89 pounds, with a kind of a hooked nose and a shock of white hair, and usually carrying a chicken or something around with her. And,
By its feet.
no, she would just like pick it up and carry it.
Its
I don't
neck.
know what that was all about.
Oh, as a pet? That's so cute. I would love
But
that.
she knew every superstition, everything, good luck and bad luck, mainly bad luck. To this day, if I see somebody put a hat on a bed, I go into vapor lock. That's just, so I did that one time, and she had an absolute fit, and told me it was just the same if I'd taken a gun and shot somebody by putting a hat on the bed, that somebody's going to die.
That's not good.
But I was her favorite out of all the cousins because I was the only one. I was born with a veil over my face, or a caul. All it is the afterbirth was still stretched over my head when I came out. She was there to witness the birth. But that's
so the
in her
afterbirth being
mind.
like the sack or what? Because a lot of
Yeah, it was
times
the
I've heard of the
amniotic
veil
sac.
being another layer of skin that they had to cut away, but this was just the sack over your face as you came out?
Yeah, just the amniotic sac. It was still over my
Okay.
head, and they had to
That's
cut it off. And
interesting.
my grandmother probably kept it. It's supposed to be
Probably
good
made
luck.
a stew
I've
out of
heard
it.
I don't know about that part, but I've heard of people
Nobody
keeping them
knows.
and doing things when they're supposed to have powerful magic and whatnot. But since I was the only one out of all of them that had that distinction, I was her favorite, and she would always get me alone. She had this big old Victorian farmhouse, and the room had originally been a dining room, and she turned it into a sewing room. She liked to piece quilts, and what that means, if anybody don't know, you cut the pieces out, and if it's a butterfly quilt, you cut out the pieces to make butterflies, and then you quilt it all together into a big quilt, with a pattern. But she would get me
It's a lot
alone
of
and
work.
get me into her sewing room, and then tell me, all these weird superstitions and ghost stories, and she
Love that.
did some stuff that that used to, like I said, it was looking back.
Witchy?
I remember one time we lived about 30 something miles from where she was at. On the way to her house, there was a spot that we had to go by where a little boy had run out in the road chasing a ball, been hit by a car and killed. Now,
Hey,
this wasn't
dude,
the
that's
same.
the same kid.
No, it's not the same little boy that I saw. It was an older kid. He was like 12.
Okay.
And I knew that family too. It wasn't the kid that I saw.
Yeah.
But I would usually, like, on car trips like that, even short ones, I would lay down in the back seat and read a comic book. This
the
was,
back
time
window?
when, I
That's my favorite spot.
went on vacation one time and laid up in the back window while we were tooling down the interstate or the highway. But I'd be laying in the back reading a comic book or something, and this was, cars in the 60s. Had a big back seat and not a bunch of stuff back there, just a big bench seat with a back, and you could stretch out. Nobody cared about seat belts or anything. I've stood up before between, the front seats and rode there standing up or on my mom's lap. We did stuff like that back then.
Yeah.
But anyway, one particular evening, we were on the way to her house. It was a Friday night. My dad got off work, and we were going to go visit her for a little while and then go out to eat. And I'm laying back there reading a comic book, and when we went by that house, I knew it. I didn't even have to look up. I felt something. I just sensed that energy. So I
you
picked
look
my
up.
head up,
Yep,
looked out
yep.
the window. Sure enough, there's the house. There's the hill where the little kid couldn't see around the corner, ran out in the street, and got hit by a car chasing a ball. And it just kind of gave me, willies, a goosebumps, whatever. And go on the rest of the way. That was, well, maybe not even halfway into the trip. So we get to her house, and she corners me in the sewing room as usual. And I don't remember what she was trying to tell me. She'd have these little lessons for me and things. And that night she said, "You feel things, don't you?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, I thought she meant just with my normal senses." And she said, "No, no, no, no." She said, "You feel things like that spot on the highway on the way here tonight." And my jaw hit the floor because I hadn't mentioned a word. I didn't say anything to my parents. I didn't say anything to her.
She just
Not
knew,
a word. But she
it's
knew.
in the family, yeah. You felt
And
that.
I thought she could read my mind, and that scared me even worse than anything.
You're like, oh my God, she knows what I've been thinking this whole time. And some of these thoughts are not so nice.
She knows about my stash of Playboys. And that's another thing. Now, I don't know if we've got any people my age in the chat here. I'm in the chat on Spreaker under KPNO Radio since I'm doing the simulcast. But now, when I was a kid, and this would even happen in the graveyard where I was telling you about, we would find Playboy magazines.
Oh my.
And just about any time you went in the woods somewhere, you would find a stash of, we call them girly magazines.
Well, isn't that a bonus?
And I thought about that, and I've heard other people talk about that they used to find them all the time too, near a playground or near the woods or in a ditch. And was there some kind of like skin mag fairy that went around and left those to for little boys to find to
right?
kind of send them down the road to ruin?
To intrigue them and interest them and speed up their entry into that world.
We were the only ones that played in the graveyard, yet one day they're just laying in some ivy. There was a fairly recent copy of Playboy, so that went into the treehouse or the fort. And
your friend's like, brown chicken, brown cow, and you're like, brown chicken, brown wow.
Cut the pictures out, taped them up on the walls. Nobody came in our tree fort. An adult couldn't get in it because of the way it was made.
Right.
But I think that needs to be looked into. That's some kind of phenomenon. And, sometimes it would be a sack of them. I knew kids that would be like, I was crossing a field, but going to wherever, and found a paper bag, and I looked inside, and there's like a dozen skin mags in there. But
it makes
nowadays,
you wonder if the spirits were doing it, or if some perv was going to the cemetery to get his rocks off.
Yeah.
In silence. Peace and
no
quiet, finally.
There was, as far as the one we found in the cemetery, there was nobody around there. There was no perv to play in the woods. So I don't know, but I've heard other people talk about
and a
that.
Paperback too, to protect it?
I think it bears looking into. But nowadays, where they find like a flash drive in the woods and like, hey, what's this?
I still think the mag would be better.
But that was it was like a rite of passage when I was a kid, being a boy, that just, somebody would find one. And then it was like, everybody's like, hey, go over here. So-and-so found a Playboy.
Yeah, that was under my mom's bed. I was like, hey, little brother, come check this out. We lock ourselves in the room and check it out. It's not that we were like being dirty together, but we're like, whoa, what's going on in here? And it's like opening your mind up to different things. And we knew different things because of different things like we had gone through. So we were familiar with it. But yeah, it's like, hey, check out this stash I just found. Like, it's like almost as good as gold at that point.
Yeah. It was. You could charge admission if somebody brought one to school. Where I went to elementary school, there was a big hill out back behind the school that went way down to the edge of the woods, and sometimes you'd see some kids crowded up down there at the other end of the woods, just at the tree line, and it was usually somebody had, gotten into their older brother's Playboys or had brought a pair of their older sister's underwear and was showing them off down there for a quarter or something, and just that childhood innocence, when you're curious about things like that.
$1 and you can smell it.
I don't think it ever went that far, but
okay. Well, they could have made a lot of money. No, I'm just kidding. It's amazing what you can sell online these days, from what I've heard. There's a lot of money.
I would love to hear from anybody around my age. If you grew up in the 60s, 70s, or 80s, did you find adult magazines? One time I went out to an abandoned farm with my father and one of his friends. They were going to survey the property for the owner. And I'm just like poking around out in an old shed. And this place was like falling in. And there was some kind of black and white, skin mag out here in the barn, and like it was just like everywhere you went, there would be some parking lot. Used to
Did you
go to the
find
shopping
some Betty
center.
Davis memorabilia or what? That'd be awesome if you found that
Betty
and kept
Davis.
it.
You mean Betty Page?
Yeah, Betty Page, yeah. Betty Davis
No.
eyes, Betty Page.
But and another time when I was older, like 12, 13, friends and I would go to the shopping center in Oak Ridge and dumpster dive. You'd be amazed at what people throw away sometimes. We used to
Still
find all kinds of
today.
stuff. But that was another thing that used to be a popular dumpster item was Playboy, Penthouse, some of those magazines from that time period. Sometimes you'd find one or two or just the pages out of one, or sometimes it'd be a grocery bag full. It's like, oh, okay, divide them up.
Yep, gotta make it fair. Oh no. It's
But,
interesting what you do
if
find.
anybody from that era, let me know. You can email me, stevestockton81@gmail.com, if you ever found adult materials in the woods.
Yeah, and
A
it's
lot of times it would
amazing.
be near a railroad track, so maybe they threw them off the train or something. So
Yeah, they or flung themselves off the train and then they lost their shenanigans as they tumbled and things were thrown askew for, those that needed to find it. I'm hoping that's where my $70 went this last week. God dang. Okay, so I'm so broke. Like, I cried so bad for hours over losing this money. I'm like, oh my God, I just lost $70. I can't afford this. Like, I'm paying for the show on my own. I'm doing all this stuff on my own. And I don't have a regular job. Like, I'm stuck at home, homeschooling and doing all this other stuff. I can't work a normal job. On the 24th and 25th, I'm going to be working security and doing my show. So that's going to be interesting, but I cried so bad and I felt ridiculous because it's just money. It's only $70, but to me, that was a lot. I was just like, okay, I took this money. I bought my daughter one of those, what are they called? The plants you don't really have to water a lot, but they're really pretty. Like this one was like an aqua green and succulent. Yeah, it was aqua green and it had some purple in it, so on and so forth. And, I bought that for her, and I guess I didn't put my money back in my pocket correctly, and I lost it either there or at Walmart. And I hit up both places. Nobody, of course, found the money. And I'm just like, oh my God, I cannot afford this. It's only $70, but for me, that's a lot. Like,
that's a lot. So even if you've got money, $70 is a chunk just
oh
to
my God.
to
I still
lose.
want to cry right now, but I'm just like,
I
oh my God.
lost $50 one time. I lost my wallet in the theater and went back the next day, and my wallet was there with the $50 bill, and it was gone. But I was happy just to have my ID and things back. But still, it's like, I had $50, and I could have done something with that. I could have. This was in the '80s. That would have bought a lot of beer,
Indeed.
or a lot of lap dances, or whatever.
Or a lot of PB magazines, Hustlers, something.
I had that happen one time. I pulled up to a little convenience store, and there's like 2 or 3 kids out there on bicycles, and they're like whispering and looking at me and whispering and looking at me. And finally, one of them walks up to me and says,
Hey, mister.
he tried to hand me a 20. He's like, Mister, would you buy us one of those magazines out there? I didn't do it. I didn't want to.
I've
that's
never fallen for
probably
that either. Even when I was
illegal.
a kid.
Sure, and I've had people trying to get me to buy alcohol too, and I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, when I was a kid and I was trying to get people to buy alcohol for me, nobody ever fell for it. And then I've had people do the same thing to me. Would you buy me a magazine or alcohol or cigarettes? I can't do it, even with my own kids. I can't do it. I cannot be that opening to this thing that could become something horrific.
Yeah. The only thing I did do
thing.
one time, back when they first started putting the parental warnings on records,
Explicit.
if you remember records.
Yeah, this is explicit.
Yeah, explicit language. I did buy a kid a tape one time of, I don't even remember what it was, kind of rap band or something, but I don't really see the harm in that. I mean, they hear those words at school. They probably hear those words at home. And I don't think it was going to do any real damage to him to hear it on the music that he liked. So I did do that one time. I bought a kid a tape. I can't remember the band, like NWA or something like that.
Yeah. Nigger, NWAC, Niggers with a Cause or something like that. Could have been Warren G, could have been Snoop Dogg, somebody. With music, to me, that's different. Okay, pornography, alcohol, drugs, whatever, that's different. Like, those are things I will not do, even for my kids. Nope, not going to do it. And there's been other people in the household that do that, but I cannot do that because if they end up having an addiction to that certain thing, that would kill me.
And you feel like you caused it. I just had the
But
daughter.
music is different.
If she asked questions about the things, I would do my best to explain, because I basically raised her, had full custody of her since she was 5. And you don't see a lot of dads that have full custody. I was fortunate that I got to see her grow up. At that time, I was doing computer networking and computer stuff, and I could work mostly from home. So got to raise my daughter. I wouldn't trade those experiences for anything. Mm-hmm. But, she would have questions about stuff, and some of it would have been better explained by
Give me 20 minutes, I'll get back to you.
Did the best I could, or would defer to my mother. But then even then, it's like, not sure you're getting the best information
friend
from her either.
Could you come help me out real quick?
Can you tell my daughter about this?
Yeah. Oh, I'm so proud of you. I'm so glad that you did that. That is hard. And our friend Sleepy Dave, he used to be our Monday host, and he had to move and had a job change and stuff like that, so he hasn't been able to do Mondays anymore. But I'm so proud of him. I'm so proud of you for doing that, because there's not a lot of men out there that would. You hear so many stories about men that leave. And my dad was one of those, but for you to stick around and do that, and that's a lot of pressure. It's really hard, especially.
I wouldn't have had it any other way. I felt an obligation there that since that's my child, and if she's left with me, then she's my responsibility.
That's right.
But I was more than happy to do it. Like I said, I wouldn't trade anything for those memories, because she, total daddy's girl. We used to have so much fun together when she was a kid. We'd go to the bookstore and go figure out what horror films we're going to rent and stuff. Now, she was into all that. Mm-hmm. She slept with a talking Freddy Krueger doll, but was scared of
I never had one.
Pee Wee Herman doll.
Hey!
She's scared of Pee Wee, but
Pee-wee!
loved Freddy.
Oh my God!
But she's 30 now, out on her own, well adjusted. She's not a psychopath or a serial killer or anything, as far as I'm aware.
Tell you, why she preferred Freddy to Pee Wee in her adult days? Did she ever?
Not as an adult, as a child. She said, "Oh, but Freddy's cute." So there you go.
Well, he was. You could tell he was a handsome feller before he got all burnt up and got the claws and stuff. But Pee Wee, he seems pretty innocent. Kind of weird.
But he did have that, that incident in the theater there in Florida.
Well, you know what? Okay, so I have to be honest with you guys. My dad kind of had a same sort of incident. My dad is an Irishman, so he's very big, like a very tall man, very broad shoulders, no ass. So his pants would fall down below his ass all the time, and so he's constantly pulling them up. He had the plumber's ass. So he went into where I worked. It's called Front Row Seat. He went into the adult section, checking shit out, and was pulling his pants up. And this girl saw him doing that and automatically assumed that he had pulled them down to masturbate. And so he's pulling them back up. No, my dad's pants just fall off his ass automatically because he has no ass. Luckily, I don't have that issue because I have a bubble butt. But yeah, he went to court and everything, and he was there for himself. He, what is that called when you act in your own... he was his own attorney, basically. And he won. He won the case because he was not in there masturbating. My dad would never do that. My dad was not that kind of person. He could wait till he got home. But his pants did fall off his ass all the time. So he's pulling his pants up, and this chick's like, "Oh my God, I think this guy was just masturbating in this room." And every family member, like my uncle, my aunt, everybody that knew him, and my aunt is now my mom. She adopted me because she raised me. But they're like, yeah, his pants fall off his ass all the time. He was not masturbating. This is not the type of person he is. So he won that case. But could you imagine how horrific that would be?
Is that what he did when he went into court? Did he walk in front of the judge and let his pants fall down and say,
turn around and pick up his briefcase and his ass falls out? I don't
And
know.
yeah,
I
I was
wasn't
thinking
allowed to be
about
there.
that the other day. Not everybody. I've never been arrested for anything. Never done
Oh,
anything
I
really to
was.
be arrested for. Never even been suspected. But I had a friend that I went to high school with that he was at one time on the sex offender registry because he was caught peeing in a Kmart parking lot. Kmart
Oh
was
my
closed at the time.
god! You gotta fucking pee when you
He
gotta
was waiting on
pee.
his
What are you gonna do?
girlfriend
Pee
who
your
worked in the
pants?
Kmart. He was parked around the side of the building, and he just like, I gotta pee, and she's not out here. So he just, goes around behind the car and starts peeing. About that time, a cop pulls up. He's standing there with his stuff in his hand, and they're like, whoop, whoop, and charge him. And again, that puts you on the sex offender list.
Well, the
There's
only person
not
to
everybody
see it
that's
was
on
the
there.
popo. Is the popo offended? Like, geez, do your job.
Either
Don't pay
that or it
attention to
turned him
this.
on.
Yeah, he probably got offended because he was turned on. That makes sense. I see that.
Because my other degree is in art history, and I
Mm-hmm.
had a professor at UT tell us that the difference between art and pornography is an erection.
Oh, oh. I've been turned on by some certain art. That's interesting. Never heard that. But I mean, I don't know. For me, it's more offensive for somebody to piss or shit their pants than to let it go. Okay, so I've seen videos of people do this in a store. In a store, that's different. Like, you should run as fast as you can. Try to get to, a back room or get to a bathroom or somewhere where you're not in the public. But I've seen people on video drop their pants in an aisle, drop a turd, pull their pants back.
With that on you, I mean, just a step above doing it in your pants, I think, is to do it and not flush and not wipe.
Yeah, that's
I have some DNA and testing and stuff done on it, but I've never heard the outcome.
When I broke it off and I had to take oxys, and then I had some nerve blockers that I took afterwards, but they tell you to get stool softeners. And at first I wasn't taking it. Then I started taking it or something like that. You know what I mean? I was so afraid, like, what am I going to do? So I'm like pushing on different parts of my skin, around my bunghole. So I'm trying to get this turn to work out. And I'm just like, oh my God, come on. We can do it. We can do it. We can do it. Man, I sat there forever, and finally I got it out, but it was the worst thing ever. I don't think my rectum ever recovered from that, but it was bad. Like, if
Rectum
you're
hell
ever,
damn near killed him, right?
damn near killed him. Rectum damn near killed him. Exactly. I'm glad you know
I
that
don't know
joke.
if you have any way. I'm going to send you this in Messenger.
All right. Third. So this is at least 3 to 3.5 sizes of the Marlboro cigarette pack.
And it's bigger around than the bottom of a McDonald's cola cup.
Oh my God.
So you're looking at,
that's a big asshole.
that's like a beef stick
That's a
or a
big
fireplace
rectum
log
there.
or something there.
That's a beast of a rectum.
So it's got to be a Bigfoot or a giant or something really, really big.
Yeah, I can think of some other names for it, but I won't say.
Now, all credit to that photo goes to Butch Wachowski. That's his.
Thank you,
picture.
Butch, for that turd. Okay, so when we go to our next music break, I will share.
I thought about that. What if he had analysis done on it, came back as crack and Taco Bell or something?
I wonder if he
anybody.
took a turd and dropped his cigarette pack, and he was like, "Man, this could be a Bigfoot turd." No, I'm just kidding. I love Butch, and I know he's true to form. He's a good guy. He would going to survive that. How many
I never
stitches?
want to poo again.
Never. Ever. Having a lot of pains in there, pressing against my uterus that is causing this pain. Like, is it really a turd problem and not a uterine cancer problem? Yeah, it could be.
I do that too.
I need some
I got
Metamucil.
a little pain in the head. Like, oh my God, I bet that's a brain tumor or an aneurysm just waiting to pop.
Right?
And whatever you do, don't Google your symptoms after midnight.
Oh, don't do it. Oh my God. That's the worst nightmares you could ever have.
It's just something simple, and it's like, probably not too deadly. You'll live till morning. It's like,
80% of people live through it, but there's 20% that don't. I'm the 20%.
yeah.
Man, I just feel bad for that Marlboro pack of cigarettes right there, laying right next to that turd. I wish I could save it. Oh.
Cigarette packs going, no, push me away. Pick me up.
Oh my. Man, and I want you to know, Steve, I'm not trying to make a joke of you being here because I really do love what you have to say, and I know you have a lot of good stories, but I love having a good time, so I hope you know that, and that you know that I'm not trying to make a joke of you. I'm just appreciating the time I have with you and this fucking turd and this marble pack of cigarettes.
That's meant to be shared right there. They should put that on a billboard.
Man, we gotta share
but
this
no,
shit.
I enjoy this too.
Shit.
I mean, this is not how I usually behave on a show, but you've brought out the beast in me. I think tonight I'm a little bit Steve Stockton gone wild here tonight or something. But
woot woot.
you know, it's okay to cut loose every now and then.
Hell
No,
yes.
usually I'm a lot more.
I'm so grateful.
Respectful, and don't talk about porn in the woods or Bigfoot scat or whatever.
Well,
but just
you know, this is an adult show, and I have marked it explicit, so we're safe. Whatever you want to talk about, whatever comes to head, you can speak about. I hate to be muted. I hate to be censored, you know? And especially today, like, everything is censored, and to me, that is vulgar. Like, how dare you try to censor me? When I am a free human being, I served my country. I did my job. Like, how dare you try to fucking censor me? So, I love this.
On YouTube,
to me, it
we
makes
could be
me feel
talking
free.
about somebody that killed themselves. You can't say the word suicide, or they'll
or
demonetize
domestic
your
abuse
video.
or rape. We are going to go to our first musical break. On this break, we have Michaela Hay, Gravity, Mirror, Pins and
There you
Needles,
are.
After
There you are.
Dark. Yeah, like, this is pissing me off. I don't know what the fuck is going on. I just paid for extra internet stream, everything, and now it's worse than it was before. I'm so angry right now. I'm about to go slap some of my kids. Just kidding. But yeah, we have Michaela Hay with Gravity, Mirror, and Pins and Needles, and then we have Fred Johnson, the Bigfoot turd, with After Dark. You guys, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this musical break.
Signs leave behind for you to find. I don't really wanna forget to forget. You taught me how to turn a blind eye. I showed you how to keep your shoulder cold. No one walked away without a scar. I've been digging through the pieces. Your heart is out of reach, but objects may seem nearer through this rippled mirror. I've been digging through the pieces. Your heart is out of reach, but objects may seem nearer through this rippled mirror. You taught me how to turn a blind eye. I showed you how to keep a shoulder cold. No one walked away without a scar. I've been digging through the pieces. Your heart is out of reach, but objects may seem nearer through this rippled mirror. I've been digging through the pieces. Your heart is out of reach, but objects may seem nearer through this rippled mirror. Talking on pins and needles, every word through a microscope. You keep stomping down on the ground while I've been stuck on this tightrope. I just wanna say what I wanna say without your sentence. I'm not willing to do the time when I'm innocent, and I'm innocent. Talking on pins and needles. Talking on pins and needles. I'm gonna hang it up, hang it up, hang it up. And I'm done, and I'm done, and I'm done, done, done. I'm gonna hang it up, hang it up, hang it up. And I'm done, and I'm done, and I'm done, done, done. I'm gonna hang it up, hang it up, hang it up. And I'm done, and I'm done, and I'm done, done, done. I'm gonna hang it up, hang it up, hang it up. And I'm done, and I'm done, and I'm done, done, done. Walked on my share of thin ice with your blowtorch at my feet. You won't ever see me beg, so take this tongue off your leash. I'm gonna say what I wanna say, don't need permission. Interpret it how you want, it's my decision. Talking on pins and needles. Talking on pins and needles. I'm gonna hang it up, hang it up, hang it up. And I'm done, and I'm done, and I'm done, done, done. I'm gonna hang it up, hang it up, hang it up. And I'm done, and I'm done, and I'm done, done, done. I'm gonna hang it up, hang it up, hang it up. And I'm done, and I'm done, and I'm done, done, done. I'm gonna hang it up, hang it up, hang it up. And I'm done, and I'm done, and I'm done, done, done. I'm gonna hang it up, hang it up, hang it up. And I'm done, and I'm done, and I'm done, done, done. I'm gonna hang it up, hang it up, hang it up. And I'm done, and I'm done, and I'm done, done, done. I'm gonna hang it up, hang it up, hang it up. And I'm done, and I'm done, and I'm done, done, done. I'm gonna hang it up, hang it up, hang it up. And I'm done, and I'm done, and I'm done, done, done. I'm gonna hang it up, hang it up, hang it up. And I'm done, and I'm done, and I'm done, done, done. I'm gonna hang it up, hang it up, hang it up. And I'm done, and I'm done, and I'm done, done, done. I'm gonna hang it up, hang it up, hang it up. And I'm done, and I'm done, and I'm done, done, done. I'm gonna hang it up, hang it up, hang it up. And I'm done, and I'm done, and I'm done, done, done. I'm gonna hang it up, hang it up, hang it up. And I'm done, and I'm done, and I'm done, done, done. I'm g Dancing on shattered glass, kicking the pieces all around. My safety has been broken, this is now a hunting ground. Talking on pins and needles. Talking on pins and needles. I'm gonna hang it up, hang it up, hang it up. And I'm done, and I'm done, and I'm done, done, done. I'm gonna hang it up, hang it up, hang it up. And I'm done, and I'm done, and I'm done, done, done. I'm gonna hang it up, hang it up, hang it up. And I'm done, and I'm done, and I'm done, done, done. I'm gonna hang it up, hang it up, hang it up. And I'm done, and I'm done, and I'm done, done, done. arranged in a series of pursuits. No matter what I say after dark, I gave her face because she had the range. I knew she was the one that never could go home again. Plastic life by limo seats. I don't know why I can't control this urge to hurt again. Yeah, living at the dark, I search lonely streets to find hidden shadows in the dark. It doesn't matter what I say. Change it in the sky, murder forever after. No matter what I say after dark. Feeling meant to turbulent and feel behind the place with days of the summer. Concerning works published in the minutes. It doesn't matter what I say. It really doesn't. No matter what I say after dark. It doesn't matter what I say. Secret homicides arranged in a series of pursuits. No matter what I say. Chariots in the sky, murder forever after. It doesn't matter what I say. Rude and fatal, lacking the hint of conscience. No matter what I say after dark.
Welcome back to We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. Tonight we are joined by Mr. Steve Stockton. He's amazing. I don't know if you guys know about him, but he's written some awesome books. He's also had so many cameos and has produced and done so much work on so many different shows. This guy really blows my mind. Like, I can't even encumber what exactly you do. Like, my mind is blown, Steve Stockton. Like, you are amazing to me because I'm trying to run one show. I can't even get video going on this shit. And you're doing this and this and that and that. And this morning, I was listening to 1920s, which I believe is one of my past lives. I was driving to that, and then it was like a new mix of 1920s. I was like, oh my gourd.
Yeah,
so
do you like
nice.
that? That's called electro swing set. And what is it? It's swing
I
music
loved
from
it.
the 20s and 30s mainly, but with 2020s breakbeats and things. It's kind of cut and mixed and sampled, and it just made a whole new genre. But it's really nice, and getting a good
loved
reaction
it.
from that. That's
Yeah.
only the second Saturday I ran that show.
I love
it's-
that.
It's
Did you
it's
like
good
it?
reception.
How do you feel
Yeah.
about it? Like, when you put this out, is this something that you like? Is this something that you put out and you're like, I'm going to mute it because I don't like it? How do you
No,
feel? Because I was
it's-
just listening to it, and I had other people listening to it, and they're like, they never complained, not once. I was
Yeah,
like,
no, that's stuff that I listen to or that I've found. I'm pretty eclectic as far as my musical taste and stuff. I'm all over the place. I listen to opera, punk rock, not so much rap or country, but even some of that I'm familiar with it at least. And at KPNL Radio, she said I want to do something with some jazz, like some
That was
from
so
the
nice.
20s
I
or something.
loved it.
So
Made me
I'm
feel
like,
better. It was like a
I've got an
release.
idea. So I went out and I found all these electro swing bands, and it's not a real popular genre, but the people that are into it are really into it. I mean, they dress up, they go to parties
I fucking
and
love that shit.
and
That was
drink
so nice.
bathtub
Oh my
gin or
gosh.
whatever, and party like it's 1921. So it's
I was
a
in
new
bed.
genre to a lot of people. And then likewise with the show, I've got another music show that I'll do right after this show called Ritual Radio. And that's a trip down the dark side. It's dark wave, goth, industrial, witch house, Cold Wave, some of that stuff. Again, stuff that most people don't listen to, have never heard of, and again, it's not for everybody, but it's the kind of stuff that I listen to when I'm writing, particularly something dark.
Isn't
So
that interesting? Like, you have to listen to certain things to get a derivative to write, to be inspired to do certain things. I don't know, when I listened to that 1920s and I was listening, and at first I'm like, okay, it was quiet. There was some sort of rift going on to where nothing was coming through and people were saying stuff, and then automatically, like 2 minutes later, it came through, and I'm like, this is meant to be. So I was listening to it, and it was not only 1920s, but it had some techno or whatever stuff going on in it, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like, this is so many different
nice
variations.
Mix. It is.
Yeah.
There's a little something in there for everybody, unless you absolutely hate swing or hate electro.
I was
or
just
break
wishing I
beats
had
or
my
something like
swinger
that.
skirt to
Yeah,
go.
it's get up and go. And then I've got
Yeah.
another show that I do Monday through Friday called The Morning Chill, and it's jazz hop, chill hop, laid back stuff with just minimal drum beats and things, or maybe a little bit of hip hop or a trap beat in there. And again, that's to kind of gently wake you up, get you moving, get your day going, without blasting you out like the electro swing does. You can't not tap your toes to the electro
No,
swing if
you
you listen to it.
can't.
So it's
And some people are like, okay, I heard somebody saying, oh, this sounds like a spell or something like that. This is not a spell. This is 1920s music combined with techno, or, sometimes it's another genre entangled in it. Like, this is actually 1920s music that is incorporated to where we can understand it. I don't know. I understand it anyways, but I love that picture you just sent me. And I'm saying again, send me your freaking video feed. I am not going to judge you. I love you no matter what. So let me see your face so we can connect better.
I sent you a picture. No, seriously, I've got a hat. I call this my go to hell hat. I didn't wash my hair today.
I love your pic. I love it. I
I've
love it.
shoved a hat on my head. I haven't
I'm
trimmed my
pinching your
beard
cheeks.
in months. It's down on my chest.
You just go like
My
this
hair
real quick.
is probably the longest it's ever been, and
Mine
my
too.
studio
I
is
can
an
choke myself
absolute
with
mess. I'm rewiring my studio. I do music and things on the sides. I've got 13 synthesizers now. I've got a drum machine in here. I've got all kinds of MIDI controllers and keyboards, and everything is piled up to the ceiling now because I'm rewiring everything. So I'm more embarrassed of the mess than I am my personal mess of the way I look.
You are not a mess. I love your face. The picture you sent me, please come through on live video just so, like, we can get that connection. I love that. I do. I love it.
Give me just a minute here, and I like you. I wouldn't do this.
Yay!
Now, you're the
Mwah.
only one that can see this, right?
Yes, I am the only one, and I'm so grateful.
I haven't done a face reveal on any of my other channels. I've got a fake background in there, so you can't see how messy everything is. I can't see
And
myself.
you are handsome. You're like, that guy left like 20 years ago. You're still so handsome. Quit saying
But
that
see,
shit.
see
Quit putting
all
yourself
this?
down.
See all this? It's just
Yeah,
my,
you
my
see
head
all
looks like a
this right
stump
here?
full of
You can't really
granddaddies.
see it yet, but it'll grow out soon. It's my Irish beard.
My head looks like a stump full of granddaddies. You at least don't have a
Nah.
mustache.
My daughter, okay, my youngest daughter, she's like, Mom, I saw Granddaddy today and I was playing with it. I'm like, daughter, Granddaddies aren't out yet. I think that was a brown recluse. She was playing with a brown recluse, and that is bad. And she's like, oh, it's so cute, and it only had a few legs and blah, 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 because it only has like 6 legs on each side or whatever. It might have those 2 little tiny ones on the front, but she's like, it only had 6 legs. It was so cute. That is not a Granddaddy long legs. That is a brown recluse. Do not play with that. And she's like, but it was so cute. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Ugh, that's scary.
Yeah, and she's like so omnipresent to it. Like, she doesn't even realize what she's doing. Like, this thing could bite her and rot off her freaking arm or leg or whatever. A chunk out of whatever.
Yeah, those bites cause necrosis, and the skin will
Yeah,
just
they're
slough off
bad.
and
she's like,
leave
oh,
it. Divot.
it's so cute. It had the longer front legs and the shorter back legs, and I love that she sees the innocence in certain things, but at the same time, I'm like, oh my God, sister, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. It makes me want to cry. I'm just like, oh no. Okay, so
Rosie says she's re-listening now about the robot granny. I've done an episode about that. It's on Missing Persons and Mysteries, and it's on my other channel, 13 Past Midnight. 13 Past Midnight's the one that's, I think it just says Mount Shasta Mysteries or something like that if you want to hear the whole thing from beginning to end. I just touched on it here. But again, I hope I haven't offended anybody in your audience with,
I don't
I'm
think
usually
so.
not that lewd or crude, and
No,
just
they're
kind
used
of
to
let
this
my
shit.
hair down, so to speak.
Yeah.
You see how long
You
my this
know,
is probably
like
the
I
second
said, I
long
could choke myself with my hair.
my hair has ever been. It's down on my shoulders, down on my back. I look a fright. I can't believe I let you see me, but
Oh, I'm so glad you did because I'm not gonna judge you, and you're so handsome, and I love to feel your energy. And when I hear somebody's voice, I get a certain energy, and when I see people, I get another energy.
you're
So
not.
I have the full inflect of this, and oh, I'm so
I
into it.
I haven't officially done a face reveal yet,
And
so
your beard is not terrible. I gotta tell you, because
it's
you're like, my beard is so out of whack, blah, blah,
it
blah.
is.
Have you thought about the Viking, like, braiding thing where you can braid it
I've
and put
thought
beads
about
into
that,
it
but
and shit?
it looks like anal beads, though. I don't want to do that.
No,
Not that I
it's
know what those are.
not. Your beard is nice. I've
Yes,
seen
it
worse
is.
beards. Okay, what is that? Is that goat
It's
beard? Mountain?
it's Mountaineer brand beard oil. You know, Dave is always talking about his
Mountaineer
beard
brand
oil.
beard oil.
His
Oh,
is from Canada.
Mountaineer brand beard oil. Oh,
This
timber.
is from West by God, Virginia, and you have to
Ooh.
say it like that. Or people
This is
from
Mountaineer timber
West
beard
Virginia.
oil
But
from
no, it
By
just
God, West Virginia.
I usually
What is
shave
it?
all this off and then just leave this down here. Kind of there's a wrestler when I was a kid named Jim the Anvil Neidhart, and that was the way he wore his. And he had a crew cut. I got the Mick Foley going on up here, and then the Anvil going on down here.
Yeah.
No, I don't like the way it looks. So I don't get out of the house. But I have thought about like tying it up and put a little.
Oh, you
Looks
could,
like
you
a
could do a
looks
little
like a Billy Goat beard.
ponytail there, and then braid it into beads or whatever you want to do. You want a Viking look? You want some other
Or
look?
I could
I bought some
thought
CBD
about
oil
just
for my friend, and he
making
put it
it.
all in his beard. And I was like, "What the fuck? That's for your knees and shit." And he's like, "Nope, I'm gonna put it in my beard." I'm like, "What?"
Thought about just doing like the Hulk Hogan and making all this like a
Well, you
Fu
can even
Manchu
like
mustache.
take some nice coconut oil or some olive oil or something like.
This stuff smells great though. The beard oil, the scent
Oh
is
yeah,
timber. It smells like
timber.
pine, fir, several different
That's
cedar
nice. I like
woods and smells.
that.
It smells really good. I'd eat it on crackers if I could.
Let's do it. Can we do that? Can we try it on
I
crackers?
don't. Probably wouldn't have to worry about constipation.
I know it. It would just slide right through.
I'd already promised I was going to be good, and then here we are drifting back into that same
Hey,
area.
we're on my show. You don't have to promise to be good on my show.
I
This
know,
is an
but like I
adult
said, I
show.
don't want to offend your audience. This is not the kind of show I usually give when I go on somebody else's show. I'm usually more respectful.
Well, I
But,
just want you to know that we're open and honest, and whatever you feel you need to share, whatever language you need to share, whatever sexual or whatever venue, like there's so many things that can be considered offensive to other people that people won't share, but we're open, we're honest. This is considered explicit. Feel free to share whatever you need to share.
yeah, well, I think
Because, we're
some
here to
people
hear
need
it.
to be offended these days. It's just
Yeah.
everything
So,
is so politically correct. It's killed the
or
language, and I
incorrect.
love the language. I love the romance of the language and of music and art and everything. But everything, we're all afraid it's going to offend someone. Well, let it offend them.
I'm not afraid
If
of offending
if
anyone.
if it makes you feel something, then it's done its job. If it's art or if it's a written word or whatever, it's supposed to evoke emotions. So I don't know, but my
It's just
thinking
so
is
weird to
different
me.
than most
Okay,
people.
remember like back in the day when everybody won their awards? Now, these days, there's a gold, silver, bronze, and then there's, ribbons for everybody else that participated. That is not the
Participation
way it's
trophy.
supposed to be. Yeah, that's not the way it's supposed to be. And although I appreciate that for my kids that did not make the mistake, that's not how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be this way. Okay, yeah, you get a ribbon for just because you participated.
Yeah. Well, that's like a lot of
What
the
about when we
sports
were
teams,
kids?
Little League, they don't keep score even. Well, what's the point in that? There's got to be a
There's the
winner and a
point.
loser in a game like that where there's two teams.
There's really, to me, no point. Like, I don't know. It makes no sense to me. They're like, oh, we don't want to offend anybody. What the fuck happened? Like, suck it up, Buttercup. Like, just walk it off. Walk it off. Walk it off. Like, there's so many things that I learned from my life that made me hardcore, made me Marine Corps. Like, people telling me I could not do it. And that's the thing that made me get through the Marine Corps when I'm going through the original status of going through the Marine Corps and fighting through the battle. People telling me that I could not do it, that kept me going. You know what I mean?
Well, so you were a
And I kept
Marine?
doing it.
That's awesome. Semper Fi
Yeah,
there.
Semper
Corps
Fi.
person? Are you a Corps
Are
person?
were you a Marine too?
Oh, hell no.
Oh, well, Semper Fi anyways.
I don't have the discipline for it, never have. And especially back during the time when I would have been an eligible candidate for the military. I was a punk rocker and a goth kid at that time. And
I was so anti, like, listening to
did not like
anybody
being
that
told
talked
what to
down to
do.
me. I did not like it, and I was like, I don't know if I could do this, because I don't like people talking down to me, but I did it.
I could have
I
done
did
it,
it.
but I wouldn't have enjoyed it. I considered it one time because I wanted to travel, and that's a good way, that saying where you get to travel to interesting lands and meet interesting people and kill them. That's
And kill them.
yeah. I've seen that as like a little ad for joining the service, but I would have liked the travel part. And if I'd known I could go in and been like, Armed Services Radio or something like that, I probably would have done it. But, I'd get a friend of mine, he had all this in high school. He went to the recruiter and he had a signed thing that he was going to be a jet engine mechanic and he was going to jet engine school. Well, he came home after boot camp and whatever and like, well, how's jet engine stuff going? He's like, well, they didn't have any openings. I'm driving a garbage truck.
Yeah.
And I just thought, and he had it signed, he had a signed letter that he was guaranteed a well.
Yeah.
And that's just it. Once you're in there, you're at their mercy.
Yeah, it's the government. They can do whatever the fuck they want.
Like I said, at that time, I've never had a lot of respect for most authority. And at
Me
that time, as a
neither.
teenager, I especially didn't.
Yeah, especially after going into the Marine Corps, I never trusted the government before, and especially after I was in the government, I'm like, yeah, I really don't fucking trust you now. Like, you guys are full of fucking shit. Okay, there's citizens and there's civilians. Citizens can be saved. Civilians cast along the way. Like, okay, if there's a war, all of our citizens will be cast into this, in Salt Lake City or wherever else there's an underground city. Everybody can go and hide. All the citizens made out to dry. Like, to me, that's ridiculous. Like, how can you even fucking do that? We're all humans. We're all on this human spectrum. But I see, like, okay, not everybody has something to give. But how do you know until they're in? Until they're doing their testing and so on and so forth? I don't know. To me, it's just insane. But I want to go away from the military and go back to the paranormal. Really, even though this is shit that is really on our backs, like right now. Like, this shit is really serious. Even the vaccinations and stuff, like, it scares me. Have you done one?
No, and I won't.
I'm not going to either. I'm going to sit on this side of the hill. I'm going to watch.
Threat of death or prison, then I'll take one. Well, number one, I'm not around anybody, so I'm not worried about infecting anybody, because that's what they say. Well, get it to protect other people. Well, I'm not around anybody, so
yeah, me neither.
there you go. I don't leave the house. I sneak out maybe twice a week to go up to the corner store and buy cigarettes, and I wear a mask when I do that. And I'm just in and out. Other than that, I don't leave the house, and I'm happy that way. I enjoy my own company. I like it. All my stuff's here, like I've got a million things I can do to stay busy or to keep me company, or I like to read. I like to write. I make all these shows. I make
so
music.
busy,
And I've never at a loss for anything. I mean, any one time I've got a dozen projects and that's how I don't get writer's block or anything like that. I've always got something else I can go to. And that's my secret. I've darkened my monitor up a little bit, and I don't look as deathly white as I did there before.
Oh, I couldn't tell the difference. I used to look as amazing as you did before, but Yeah, this to me is just scary because they're like, take it, take it, take it. And there's so many different things happening, and people are getting like severe blood clots, so on and so forth. Even my sister Helen, who's working in the nursing industry, she had blood clots before. Like, she was living in my house. She left to work to go do some nursing home work, and I'm like, hey, drive safe, buckle up. And she's like, no, not gonna do it. And I'm like, whatever, sister, I told you, buckle up, be safe. I'm not gonna do it. And she rode down the road. All of a sudden, this 350-pound Puerto Rican chick tried to shove herself into the ashtray of a fucking car. Luckily, somebody came along and de-shoved her out of the ashtray of the car, and she lived through this fucking process. Because, she would not have been able to live. Oh my God, she's had 2 different knee surgeries. She's doing so good. She's still in the medical facility, but she just recently got a COVID vaccine too, and I'm just like, honey boo.
I've heard
am not
bad
down
things
with
about
that.
it.
I can't do it. I'm gonna stand on the side of the
They
hill. I'm
rushed it into production.
Watching.
Usually, it takes years to get a vaccine through to get FDA approval.
At this point, this is
and I don't want to be a guinea pig. Like I said, I'll stay away from people that have no problem doing that. And I'm not saying, I'm not a role model. If you want to take it, take it. That's up to you and yours. But it's just, I'm not going to do it. I don't take flu shots either. The only flu shot I ever had was 1985. And I got the worst flu I'd ever had. I normally didn't catch the flu. I'd never had the flu. Took the flu shot, got the flu, thought I was going to die. Haven't had the flu shot since, haven't had the flu since 1985. So either it was one damn fine shot and it worked all these years, or what I believe. And they actually admit now that there was some flu shots back then that did have a little too much in them. And that's the other thing. I don't think it's a one-size-fits-all. When they prescribe medicine, they take things like your weight and your body metabolism and things like that into account. And I don't think they're doing that with these shots. What works on me, it might kill an 89-year-old woman, So I'd like to see some more hard figures on it.
Even younger people, like there was a young nurse. He was very healthy, very buff, whatever. Got sick, stayed out of work, went back to work, got even sicker and died from the COVID. And he was only 20-something years old. Rosie in the chat room was like, what about the robot granny? Can you tell us more about her? Like, that is really weird. Is that alien, sentient, or robot? Like, what the fuck is that robot granny thing going on?
Again, it's on Mount Shasta. It could be anything. Let me get that back up here. I mentioned that when I saw her comment, told her where she could go to see that. The rest of it, I've minimized too many windows here.
Yeah, it's so hard. Did you also see the one where the, holy shit, now I have to regain that. Never mind. Continue. Yeah, she said robot.
Oh, it says the live broadcast was terminated, but will be available again in a few minutes. I'm wondering if we're playing the right one out over KPNL.
Well, it says it's still going.
Weird. Strange
Is it still
things
going
happen.
on your end?
Let me give a quick listen to KPNL and see. Nope, I don't hear a thing.
Yeah, it shows the stop sign in the red circle to where you can stop it, but it's still going. I don't know.
Look at this
so
real quick.
Freaking weird.
Oh, now I feel like I'm on your show and then it messes up. And
So freaking weird. I think I need to get back a hold of CenturyLink and figure out what the hell is going on, because this is supposed to be bigger and better than what I had before, and here it is shitting on my show.
I wanted to
when I
mention
have
that
the best
I've
person
seen
on
that
my show
happen
too.
in the past when I'm simulcasting. Sometimes it will stop.
Pyrotechnical issues.
And then it will start back, but it will go to the last night's episode and it starts playing that. And I've stopped it before and put it on the live episode. No, I'm showing the live. That's what I'm tuned into, but I don't hear anything.
That's so weird. And Rosie said, I'm sorry, I got stuck on replay. Sorry. I'm listening now about the robot granny. So that was earlier today.
Yeah,
we were talking about this.
Went backwards or something.
Yeah,
So
she
I blame it
started
on the
from the
black-eyed
beginning of
kids.
something. Right? Those evil motherfuckers.
I had an encounter with the black-eyed kids back in the late 90s.
Seriously?
And every time I tell that story, something weird happens. First time I ever told it publicly, I was on one of Art Bell's later shows. I think it's Midnight in the Desert.
I missed that
Art
guy,
was-
and his anniversary of his death was just this week.
Yeah.
So
And
happy
he was sick
anniversary
at that
to him.
time. So his producer, Heather Wade, was doing the show, and I went on with her, and she knew the story. I'd talked to her apart from the show, and she goaded me into telling it online. And I did, or on live, on the air. And that night, actually early the next morning, about 4 or 5 o'clock the next morning after the show was over, I heard a knock on the front door, and I've got, where I lived at that time, I had cameras, I had a proximity detector, had alarms, had everything. There was a knock at the door, yet nothing was ever on the camera. And then it sounded like a scream or somebody in pain, crying out in pain. It started in the living room, went all the way through the house, out on the, I had like a veranda, glassed-in porch on the back, went all the way out there and out the back of the house. My daughter was living with me at the time. I thought it was her, and I went right in there and flung up in her bedroom, and she's sound asleep. I'm like, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "Yeah, why?" I'm like, "I heard a scream." And she sleepily said, "I told you not to talk about those damn black-eyed kids." But it seems like every time I mention that, something will go nutso with electronic stuff. I've had pictures fall off the wall. Had somebody message me one time or email me. They were listening to me tell that story, and she had a glass bowl of wax fruit on her living room, like a coffee table or a coffee table like you have in your living room. The glass bowl exploded. So she said, I'm listening to the replay tonight and picking the glass out of my carpet. So
That is so weird. And here it shows 2 hours and 34 minutes, and over here is 1 hour and 39 minutes. I'm wondering what we missed, what happened. Like, I've seen buffering going on, but it's very short buffering. Sometimes before I've had long buffering, and it's been a long time. So it could be this new internet thing, which I freaking hate. So I'm hoping that you would be willing to come back this next month, because
sure.
if we're getting cut out, like, all about, like, if there's 2 hours and 35 minutes and 10 seconds, and we still have an hour and 38 minutes, what the fuck does that mean? Like, I'm not sure. Are you willing to go all the way? Like, what the hell just happened? I don't understand, but oh my gosh, that is crazy.
I'd love to come back. Because right after this, the minute this ends, I've got Ritual Radio for 3 hours, and then when that ends, I go right into Ghost Stories at Midnight. So
yeah, we should have about 25 minutes left, I think.
yeah, I'm showing 8:35 here Pacific time.
Yeah, here it's showing an hour and 38 minutes. So, yeah, I'll give you that 25 minutes. Hopefully I could keep track of that and not go askew. Keep me on track if you could.
Yeah, well, if Ritual Radio's a little late, it's not going to kill anybody. So
I love all your shows and what you do, and especially like today. I tuned into the 1920s show that you had, and it was not only 1920s, but it was kind of like a newer mix of today. And like, my mind was blown. Like, I was just like, oh yeah, that's just what I needed at that point. Because there were so many other things going on. Like, take me back to old school. Like, I don't know. It was awesome. How do you get all that stuff going on? All these storytellers, all this different music. How do you do it?
well,
My mind
the
is blown.
stories.
Like, what?
The stories come from LibriVox.com, which is a group dedicated to preserving public domain stories, and they have people that volunteer to read them. And like I said, it's stuff basically from the Victorian era, stuff that's in the public domain, and then they record them they've got some good narrators over there, volunteers, and then they release the recordings into the public domain. So that way people like me can take them and put them on a YouTube channel and just turn them loose. And I'll probably volunteer over there at some point to read some, but I've had people that have heard it on my show and then gone over there and volunteered. So, it's good for everybody. Now,
And I did check that out too.
Started back on KPNL, but it's playing like a different show. It's not playing the one we're on. It's playing a show from April 11th.
Well, where'd you get this music from 1920s, but it's a remix. Like 1920s with a alternative, like new remix.
Yeah, well, I knew of the genre. I knew it existed. I went on to SoundCloud. I've got a pro account on SoundCloud called SoundCloud Go. Excuse me. Another thing I want to apologize for tonight is my voice. My allergies are just on the
Oh,
11
it's terrible,
tonight.
right?
And voice all scratchy, throat's all scratchy.
Mm-hmm.
But I do the DJ stuff. I've got professional DJ software, and so I went on SoundCloud. I found some electro swing that I liked, and I thought other people would like it.
I loved it.
Several different playlists. So glad you liked it. I kept getting interrupted today, and this happens sometimes with SoundCloud. Usually the stuff I play is non-copyright stuff. It's either small bands or small labels, which I promote. But occasionally somebody will stick something in that is copyrighted, and they kept timing the stream out today and punishing me. This stream is temporarily suspended and then it'd come back. But that helped me weed all the bad stuff out of my playlist. That particular playlist, I switched over to another one. And,
yeah, I was listening to it. My husband kept getting calls, and I'm like, okay, great. I'm awake. And then I looked into my messenger, and I saw that what you sent, and I played it, and it was just like, 1920s mixed music, and then there was a later genre sort of artist on there, and it was all silent. Like, nobody was making any noise, and I just loved it. I was just like, now we can focus on this and relax and get our genres back, our couth, whatever the fuck we're looking for.
Try listening to Morning Chill sometime during the week. That's a really enjoyable show. I like that one a lot too. Again, it's minimal drum beats. It's not wild drums like the swing stuff, but it's got just enough drums in there to have a beat, and then it's really chill, really laid back. It's easy to wake up and get going, or just if you want to stay in bed, relax. Have a lot of 420 fans that like to listen to that show, to the wake and bake crowd, I call them.
Yeah. Some people don't get it. They're like, what's 420? Okay, some people think of 420 as, what's his name? Oh my gosh. The main guy. I can't even think right now. Oh. 420 is...
I'm letting you dig your own hole. I don't know what
No, from fucking Germany. Like the guy
Adolf Hitler.
Adolf, yes. Adolf
April
Hitler.
20th is his birthday.
Yes.
It's also the anniversary of Columbine.
Yeah, and then there, just recently I've been seeing posts about another school, and it's a school that people have denied that these things are happening. They're saying, these are just actors, these are just so on and so forth. Like, this to me is bullshit. Like, this actually happened to these people, and these people are talking about it as if, like, people are denying this happened, and that's re-victimizing them. It's just like, when I was raped and molested and stuff, and people denied it, that is re-victimizing me. So when these people, their schools, whatever, get shot up, it's not Columbine. What was it? I'm trying to find it on my thing right now. It was right before Columbine. It was an elementary school, and it was the principal's son came in and shot up a bunch of kids and teachers. Mostly it was teachers, not teachers. Mostly it was students and then teachers. Hold on, let me see. Not Columbine. What the fuck was it?
It happens all over the place. There was a school shooting in Knoxville, Tennessee this week. Yesterday, some kid shot up his FedEx facility in Indiana or somewhere, I believe. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah,
people are frustrated.
The
People
officer.
are mad. People are angry. People feel disenfranchised. And, before that's where rock and roll came from. That's where punk rock came from. But now, I don't know. It's coming out in a different way. I mean, you had more school shootings under President Clinton than anybody, but now they're ramping back up again. So I don't know what the change is, if that's even a determining factor, who's in office and who's not, or any of that. I stay out of politics. That doesn't concern me. None of my business. even though it is, and it should concern me, but I can't be bothered.
Well, I felt bad for this girl because she's like, okay, I was in this school shooting and people are saying this did not happen and this is making what I'm going through even worse because people are denying it. People are denying what she went through.
There are things in some of those shootings that don't make a lot of sense. That I'm not denying that they happened, but the way that it happened and some of the events leading up to it or right after that, like what was the school shooting in New England, New Hampshire, Connecticut, or
That's
where
what
it
I'm
was?
trying to think about. I can't think of the name. I don't know why.
Elementary school. Well, when they were
Yeah,
showing it on
it
live
was the
TV,
principal's son that came in. The principal's son came in
the
and
cops
shot
had a guy
everybody.
in the woods, proned out. And
Yeah,
then
and this guy
they
came
lead
in.
him out of the woods, and he's saying it's not me. Well, they never mentioned that. They supposedly had 2 or 3 people that were running through the woods. There was a purple van
It
with
was
people
one
dressed as
fucking
nuns and
person.
clowns, living the scene. The kid that they blamed for it, first it was his mom was the principal, then she had been a teacher there, then she hadn't,
Yeah.
and just there was so much disinformation and lies and things that came out of it. Newtown, that was
Newtown.
the Connecticut, yeah.
Yeah,
There was,
Newtown, Connecticut.
and
That
when
was
they
the
showed the
principal's
kids
son.
like out running out of the school, that was actually another school where they
Well,
were
that
all
little
locked up.
girl I heard from today, she said they did not run outside of school. They hid in their cubbies. And they had
Yeah.
2 doors, one that went in and one that was over here. And she said she heard somebody trying to get into this door over here. And she was just
Yeah.
so traumatized because she's like, oh my God, we're all going to die. But her teacher sat there and she read them stories and she's trying to keep them calm and they're hiding in their fucking little tiny cubbies. Could you
Yeah.
imagine hiding in your little tiny cubby,
That'd
hoping
be-
that you would stay alive and this person is running around
That'd
shooting
be
everybody?
very traumatic.
And your teacher is sitting there reading you stories? To me, that is a true example of a fucking hero. Like, who would do that? Who would sit there in their teacher chair and read you stories and try to keep you calm and do other things to keep you calm? She's outside of the cubbies. You guys are all in the cubbies, and she's doing different things to keep you calm and keep you from running out of your cubby. And even when the cops came, they heard the cops running upon the roof and doing other
Yeah.
things. And then they realized it was the cops. Like, oh my gosh.
Well, yeah, they saw men in black running by the windows. Some people said it was the cops. Some people said it wasn't the cops. And then the kid that was supposed to have done all that, he, like if he weighed 120 pounds, yet he
No, he was
had almost,
scrawny.
he had almost 200 pounds of guns and ammo with him. But then when they show the cops going through his car, one of the rifles that he supposedly had inside with him was in the trunk of his car. It shows the cops opening the trunk and taking the rifle out. How did it get from the school back into the trunk? And then he went inside and supposedly shot himself. And then they're saying, well, no, the cops shot him. No, he shot himself. There was just so much disinformation. I mean, somebody's got to be telling the truth, but then whatever's the truth, then all the rest of it's not true. So it's just, and there's a lot of strangeness in that town. That a lot of the houses that the people lived in there had been sold to them like the year prior for $1. So I don't know. There's just, I looked into that, went down that rabbit hole for a little while, but it's just, and again, you don't want to re-victimize people that were there, people that did go through it. And if you watch the video of where the parents met at the fire station there, they're walking in circles. They're going, you see them coming down the road, they go in one side of the fire station, go out the other, and go around again. The trees that they decorated for the memorial for the kids, there was already that amount of trees there, but while the shooting was still going on, you can see them behind the fire station. Just a lot of stuff that didn't make sense.
It didn't.
That
And there
was
was
part of
people
one
running
story,
around like,
that it
"Where's my
was a
sister?"
drill that went live. That was supposed to be a drill, a school shooter lockdown drill, but then somehow somebody brought real guns and ammo and did it, and it went, it turned into a live event. I don't know. It's weird.
Well, and it's sad. Like, this kid that did the shooting had gone shooting with his mom, so she, taught him about different weapons, so on and so forth, which we do with our kids too. Like, this is this gun, this is this is how you fire it, you have to be safe, so on and so forth. But this kid, took it above and beyond, went into the school where she was teaching, or was she the principal? I'm not quite sure.
Neither one. She had been like a substitute or something there at one point, I think was the final
Yeah,
story.
and he goes in there and shoots up everybody. Seriously. Dude, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, oh, I feel so bad about life. Could you just kill yourself? Like, and I hate to say that because I hate for anybody to do that. I've had friends do that. My friend Dwayne did it, and all of us suffered from it. But for him to go in and shoot a bunch of innocent kids and teachers and stuff, like, to me, it doesn't make sense. Like, if you are angry at life, I could see ending it. I've tried doing it a few times as a teenager. Didn't work. That made me realize that I'm supposed to be here for a certain reason. Life is a gift. I need to treat it as such. You know what I mean? And I don't understand the whole concept of, if I'm going to go out, I'm going to take everybody out. Like, I don't get that concept.
Never occurred to me either.
Me neither.
And when I was in high school, out in West Knox County, I was out in the country, there were kids that had gun racks in their trucks with, maybe a deer rifle or something there.
They're
And nobody
hunters.
ever think anything about it. Yeah, there was kids that would go out and maybe hunt for an hour before they came to school, or were going to go hunt after school, depending on what was in season. And it just, like I said, it never occurred to any of us to bring a gun into the school and shoot people. I actually brought a handgun to school once, but it was because I'd sold it to another kid. And I kept it in my locker, and I was raised around guns, had a respect for them. And I got a Winchester 22 bolt action rifle for Christmas when I was 6 years old. But I was taught, how to use it responsibly, how to have a respect for it. Don't keep it loaded. Don't point it at anybody that you don't intend to shoot. Don't shoot to wound. Don't shoot no warning shots or anything like that. If the situation degenerates to the point that you have to pull a gun on somebody, be prepared to kill them. And that's just, that's the way I was taught.
Yeah, don't point a gun at somebody unless you're prepared to kill them. That's it.
Don't intend to scare somebody with a gun, because you can scare them enough that they'll shoot you.
Or you can accidentally shoot them. Don't ever point a gun. And we do that with airsoft and different things in our house. I'm like, dude, even when my kids point guns at me, I'm like, you are not supposed to point your gun at anybody. Maybe it's my military training or what, but unless you're prepared to shoot me and kill me, do not point your fucking gun at me. And that's how I feel. Like, do not do it. And I get so offended, and my kids don't get it. I'm like, no, never in your life should you ever point a gun at somebody unless you're intending to take their life. And they just don't get it. They're like, oh, this is wee fun and blah, blah, blah. I shoot at so many different targets and my dad takes me all the time. No, this is the true thing. Like, do not point a gun at somebody unless you intend to kill them.
Yeah, no warning shots, no shoot to wound or anything like that. And I've had guns, been around guns, like I said, since I was 6. I've never had to pull a gun on another human.
You shouldn't have to unless you're defending your life. Oh my gosh, this world is so crazy.
Only had one pulled on me once, and that was a cop.
Ugh, what happened?
I was speeding, and I guess they thought I had committed some kind of crime. And the one that came up to my car, he was cool, but his partner, who was female, was standing behind my car, and she had her gun drawn and pointed at my head, I suppose. And because I was speeding. But,
seriously.
Even then, they gave me a ticket and let me go. I've never been arrested. But, and I thought about filing a complaint. A friend of mine said, man, you could go file a civil complaint because that's not right if she basically was threatening your life. But for whatever reason, she thought I was a danger. I was driving a 71 Impala with a bunch of skateboard stickers on it, so I probably did.
How dare you?
And I think I had a mohawk at the time, but some sort of a wild mohawked skateboarder in a 71 Impala. I'm going to shoot him if he does anything funny. But I see both sides of the coins. I wouldn't want their job, but I understand how you have to be cautious, how, it's their life on at homes and families and things. But it's just like anything. And this isn't a popular opinion right now, but I think there are good cops and bad cops, just like there are good cops or good people and bad people. Now, there are people that I think get into law enforcement and things like that because they like to bully other people and because they like to boss people around. If you've got a gun and a badge, you can tell people what to do and get away with it to an extent.
I was bullied when I was a kid, so now I'm going to bully you.
Yeah. But yeah, just what it is. Again, that's getting into political ground, and I try to stay away from that. There's too many
Well, it's so hard
interesting
though. And
things
then
out
you see
there.
that, and there's a cop that I saw today on, I think it was TikTok or whatever. He's like, okay, here's where we put our weapons, and he's putting them in stock as he's going along, getting ready for his day. If you can confuse this weight for this weight, there's something wrong with you. Like, you know where your gun is, you know where your taser is. If you confuse the two, you should not be in this field. And
Yeah,
I agree with that.
a few years ago, actually, quite a few years ago in Knoxville, there was a deputy chasing a woman in a park. They approached her. She was sitting on a park bench, and she got up and ran away. And he was chasing her with his revolver drawn and accidentally shot her in the back 3 times. He said
Seriously,
he
three
was
times.
running, and it went off. Well,
I can see
once maybe,
once.
but not 3
Yeah,
times. Shot her,
once.
killed her, and there was like a little
God.
bit of pot residue or something was all they found.
Yeah.
So that, to me, that's just wrong. I mean, uh, shoot somebody that's running away in the back. You can get them later if they're not threatening you. I can see using lethal force if you absolutely have to. If other
can
people's
see-
lives are in danger.
Like if a person stabbed you 2 or 3 times and then ran away, you shot them 3 times in the back, that would make sense.
That might be different.
But if
yeah.
they never did anything to you and they're running away and you shoot them 3 times in the back, that to me is bullshit. That to me is an abuse of your restrictions.
And it was a single mom. She had like 2 or 3 kids, small kids, and she was just sitting in a park bench near her house, sitting on a table in a park, having a little bit of 420 time. And, so there's terrible things that happen.
all
But
the
then you
time.
hear about people, police and firefighters alike, pulling people out of a house or out of a car, or they're like I said, they're good ones.
Going
I don't
above and beyond to
I
protect
don't
and
wanna-
serve.
paint with too broad of a brush, but
Right?
yeah.
Yeah, and it's sad. Like, just recently I saw that case, and it was not a black kid; it was a brown kid, and I think he might have been Indonesian or whatever. He was out with his stepdad, and they're walking through the ghetto, and the stepdad was in front, the son was in front of him, and the son ran, and then he threw the gun behind a fence, and he turned around with his hands up. He got shot. The cop tried to give CPR to him, but by this time it's too late. Like, why the fuck did he even do that? Like, when he turned around, had his hands up, like, why the fuck would you even do that unless you have, like, a trigger, like, a finger on your trigger, and you accidentally pulled it because you're, like, trying to say a word or something? Like, maybe your shit got mixed up. I don't understand why they do this, like, how this happens. How do you shoot a 13-year-old? And then you try to do CPR on him, and you find a gun not in front of the fence, but behind the fence. Like, he ran up to the fence, he threw it behind the fence, then he put his hands up and turned around, and this guy shot him right in his fucking heart, basically. Try to do CPR on him. This is not going to work. This kid was not African American. He might have been Indian or Hispanic. I'm not sure quite yet. But still, it's fucking
But
sad.
irregardless of that, he shot
Airsoft
a kid,
gun.
an unarmed kid. At the
Yeah.
time. If the kid had a loaded gun, he's waving it at him, or he doesn't obey
Pointing
the
it
order to
at you,
drop
I
it
can
or get on
see.
the ground. Yeah. But even
I
then,
don't get
it's kind of iffy. It's just
And
it's a
that's-
shitty old world out there.
Yeah, that's where I go back
That's
to.
why
like,
I like the paranormal. The more I hear about stuff like this, the more I love ghosts and Bigfoot and my dog. It's just like
Me too. Yeah, for that, it's like, there's no stipulation. Whether you're black, white, Puerto Rican, whatever, they don't fucking care. Even though you're not pointing a gun at them, you're putting your hands up, you're still getting shot. Might as well go hunt ghosts, because, like you said, that's a much better place to be.
Yeah, I'm much more afraid of humans that I might encounter in the woods than I
Me
am
too.
Dogman or portals or Bigfoot. Or I'd love to have a Bigfoot sighting. I've never had an actual sighting. I've been hit by rocks by what I believe was a Bigfoot. I've smelled them. I've heard them. I heard the tree knocks and the whoops and the shouts and stuff. And I've seen footprints. But so far, no full-on sighting. I hope to someday.
They do throw rocks, though. When I do security, I'm going to be doing that on the 24th and 25th. I'm going to do some interviews, then I'm going to go do some security. But when we were doing security in Rico, we had a Bigfoot up there, and it would toss rocks at us. Like, this mofo, he didn't care who the hell we were. He was going to throw rocks at us.
I was in the Jefferson National Forest in Virginia. I was off trail. It was about 2 o'clock in the morning. And I'd been hearing the tree knocks and stuff. And all of a sudden, I didn't even feel the rocks hit me, but I heard them hit the ground. And I looked down, and like river rocks, and they were coming straight out of the tree. Not like in an arc, like somebody lobbing it, but it was flying straight, like a projectile almost. And I picked one up. It was about the size of a golf ball or something, but flat, a round river rock. And it was almost hot to the touch. And I was like, what the hell? Like, okay, I get the hint. I'm going to go somewhere else. And I didn't get hit with any more rocks. But they were coming from several different directions. So, again. My books, Strange Things in the Woods and More Strange Things in the Woods, those have been combined by my new publisher into one volume. It's on Amazon and wherever fine books are sold. The second book, or actually the third, My Strange World, that's an account of my personal experiences. That comes from coming on shows like this, and people would always say, well, these are other people's stories in these books. Do you have any experiences? I had enough of those to fill a book. Fourth book I wrote with Cisco Murdoch. It's called We're All Children in the Wilderness of the Afterlife, a guided tour through a haunted life. That's mainly her book, and I just came along as color commentary. And I just turned in last Friday, a week ago, manuscript for my fifth book. It's the new National Park Mysteries series. It's disappearances, myths, legends, and hauntings, things like that, in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, in this volume that's coming out probably next month. And then subsequent volumes are going to cover national parks in other states and areas. I think volume 2 is going to be California. So I did Joshua Tree, Yosemite, Mount Shasta, a lot of weird stuff in California. So those are all on or will be on Amazon or wherever fine books are sold. You can order them anywhere. And ask for them at the library. They can get them. All my different shows. My main channel is Missing Persons and Mysteries. Do all the narrations of there. It's just what it sounds like. It's mainly missing persons stories, not only from the national parks, but we do Land of the Lost series, which focuses on single cases of people that have gone missing. We do listener stories over there where people send in their own paranormal experiences. That's the mystery side of the name. Anything that's a mystery we cover. And just kind of goes from there. I've also got 13 Past Midnight, all the stuff I do for KPNL on their channel. And it's probably easy to not find me. But it's been a pleasure. Tessa, thank you for having me on. You were a guest on my show. I do the Campfire Stories.
I had so much fun
Friday
on your
nights.
Show. That's
We
the
had a
only
ball.
show I ever listened to. Ever
And,
that I did.
And one of your guests, Connie Koenig, came on Friday after you were on. She was
She's
ball too.
amazing.
Big
I
time.
love her so much. She's amazing.
But yeah, I'll come back anytime you'll have me. Thanks for having me tonight. And somebody in the chat, Jen, is looking for her sister. So I'm not sure what that's all about. Hope you find your sister.
Oh, I don't know. I can't see it. And I think we might have different chats because we were buffering a few times. So I don't know. Like, this is pyrotechnical issues like we've never had before. So like I was saying, hopefully we can do this again some other day. But thank you again so much,
It's my pleasure.
Steve,
And I
for
know
being
we
on.
were all over the place tonight. Next time
I
I'll try
loved
to stay
it.
focused more on the paranormal. And you did get your face revealed there, so you're privileged. There's only a handful of people that know what I look like.
Right. I've seen you on other different shows. But I'm so glad you were on here and that you did decide to come on camera. That to me meant a lot because, trust issues and such. But thank you again for joining us tonight on We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. It was awesome. I loved having you.
Thanks again for having me. Thanks everybody for listening. I know I had a lot of my regulars that were going to tune in or message me that they've been listening or will listen to it after the fact. So thanks for listening.
And thank you to all of our friends on We Are Paradox Media's Facebook, Spreaker, Twitter, Periscope, iHeartRadio, and wherever else beyond the Omniverse. If you're listening tonight, I had a wonderful time, and I can't wait to do it again tomorrow night when we have Mark Fiorentino. We're going to be talking about the universe according to Einstein, and I can't wait to talk about that because there's so many things that have been proven recently to show that Einstein was right on track. My brother Einstein got it going on. But Mark Fiorentino, and you guys don't forget, we are all in this together. Together we can make the world a little better. And together, my friends, we are Paradox Media, because without you, there is no us. If you would like to join us on the Paradox After Party, you can find me at tessa.n.thomas30@gmail.com, or give us a call at 970-335-9590. Until next time, nighty night, love and light to all of my friends, ghouls, goblins, so on and so forth out there. Take care of my yous. Stay positive. I know the world is hard today, but keep it going. Keep trucking. Don't give up. You can do it.